Dr. Ryan Godfrey. Welcome to Reps with Ryan, a brand new series for Change Game in 2021. Each month I'll sit down with the incredible people who make up our team. From athletes and patients pushing their limits to professional partners and others that share our vision. Here at Change Game, we believe in the power of community, the strength that comes from teamwork, and the importance of being a true game changer in everything we do. That's what this series is all about, celebrating those values. We're excited to bring you along, so let's get started.
Hey guys, Dr. Ryan Godfrey here, and we are on our newest episode of Reps with Ryan. I'm joined by Dr. Vomer here from Avance Care. As always, we're going to show you a new workout more geared towards our CTG Strong class, which is focused more on all-around athletic development, focused on strength capacity, power output, and just being a well-rounded athlete. So we're going to be doing that as our workout as we get to interview Dr. Rock here. So just starting in, tell us a bit more about your background, and as we know at Avance, you're there with your beautiful wife, Dr. Emma, as well. So tell us more about how you got started and how Avance came to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk today. So my background, I have a doctorate in physical therapy. I trained at Duquesne up in Pittsburgh. I went to med school at Virginia Tech. I did my residency in family medicine and my first fellowship in quality improvement at Eastern Virginia Medical School. I did my sports fellowship at Duke University, so I'm obviously pulling for them during this March.
That was going to be our question today. I can't get on board with the Duke thing, to be honest, Dr.
It's okay.
I'm a Syracuse guy, so it's great, okay?
And Emma did her residency for family medicine at Eastern Virginia Medical School as well.
Okay.
She did her sports fellowship at University of South Carolina. We moved out here at the end of 23 to open up our practice because Emma's family is from here. The entire point of us moving here was to help the folks who live in the area, so our friends and family have access to a better healthcare option because we clearly need that here. I agree. We designed our clinic as what's called it's called a clinically integrated unit. What that means is it's a new concept where there's one physical clinic where you can come and get all of the things that you need with one team. You don't have to go to 8 different providers who do one thing. You have one person who does 8 things.
A one-stop shop.
Exactly.
Efficiency is what we love, right?
Yeah, and actually, since we're on the wrong end of the ACC, and that's okay, but all of the ACC programs have good sports medicine.
That's right.
We really designed it like a sports medicine department for college athletes. So you have access to primary care, women's health, sports medicine, hormone therapy, nutrition prescription, our nutritionist and our behavioralists, and all of our ultrasound bays and our exercise phys bay, all in-house, which is awesome. It just makes care of the people who need to get them healthy.
Yeah, I agree. We love the setup that you guys have. We got to do the tour over there, and of course we had Lauren, your dietitian, join us on episode 1, kick things off. So I think that's awesome. Again, having one place, and certainly we've been able to collaborate for our patients and clients to go over there and get really just about everything they would need. On the acute care side of things, all the way up to starting rehab and then going from there. So
I'd say we have a pretty good relationship.
very much so. Well, yeah, highlighting, right? Like we were just talking about, we're excited for the upcoming Port City FC soccer season. We're going to be collaborating on that.
So you guys should come to the games.
Make sure, come to. I think it's the end of May is that first home game, right?
Absolutely.
And you've worked with UNCW club hockey in the past, working with that team, right?
Yep.
Taking care of our college age athletes, like you said. That sounds like it's the big emphasis with Avance, right?
Yeah, we really just want everybody to be healthy and active because you should have a high quality of life so you can live long and well, not just be constantly sick.
Totally agree.
You
All right, let's bust up some quads because we're going to squat today. So I like starting with these reverse Nordics. We get to get a little more, we call it eccentric loading, which helps with that descent during the squat to make sure we got good control, right, into that quads. I like to warm up that way before we get into it.
Warming up is always important. So
Yeah.
when we talk about injury prevention,
Let's talk about that. I mean, for what you guys do at Avance and with your background, what are some best practices or tips for people on the injury prevention side of things?
I would kind of look at it as a spectrum. I think the first thing, like whenever you're actively working out, clearly warm-ups matter before you go because you got to prime the body for whatever movement patterns we're going to work through, and then also the muscles, right? So number one, warm up before we work out. Number two, that we're going to see with you, your program should be specific and science-based because when you look at loading throughout workouts and over the week and the month and the year, you can't overload yourself all the time because you need time to recover. So some days you got to go hard, and other days you got to go light.
Yeah, and like you're touching upon it, very much is a daily check, right? And we're going to show you we have ways to see, not just musculoskeletal recovery, but central nervous system, right? And aspects around that, people, if you're stressed, if you're not sleeping well, right? Nutrition is going to come into play.
Yep.
That's not just body, it's also mind, right? We need to know that we're primed and ready to go for each day's workout, and going into that workout, knowing where we're at allows us to, maybe I got to throttle up or down for a given session too, right?
Absolutely.
All right, let's get a little more primer. Your quads and mid back. So, I mean, have you seen as far as sleep? I know I've seen 8 hours a night is, where you should be as far as adequate sleep. Have you guys looked at?
Yeah, actually, it's like that. You're wearing the Whoop, and
I got my Whoop.
And I'm wearing the Aura. I'm a huge, advocate of wearables. It's actually where my research specialization is. I forgot to mention I'm a research faculty at Mayo Clinic. And when we talk about wearables and how you can track sleep and stress and strain, you need these devices when you're really taking your training to the next level.
Yeah.
Because it can show us insight. If you're saying generalized tips, usually 6 to 8 hours is adequate for people.
Well, that's good to know because, I don't know, as I get older, I'm able to actually operate on less sleep. So that's the thing.
It's because our brains aren't as active when we were young spread men developing.
Well, that's kind of sad.
But different reason. Yeah. But 6 to 8. But I like the wearables because it'll show us insight for each person's unique recovery pathway.
Yeah.
So some people might need 6, some people might need 7, some people might need 8 or 9. Interesting. These are just generalized
guidelines, right?
But if we can look at your data over a month or two, in the clinic, I can tell you exactly what you need to do because the wearables break down the sleep cycle. So when you're in light sleep, deep sleep, REM, how much movement you're doing, your body temperature, and how you're breathing, that's going to really dial that point in. And it's just a unique area of medicine right now that's called precision medicine.
Okay.
So your data applied to you.
Oh, interesting. So I didn't even know this. So if I was a patient coming in, that's something that you guys do as a service,
Yeah, I do it as part of all my appointments. If you have a wearable, I ask you to bring me the data.
That's awesome.
And I go through the app with you. Because that information is actually more useful to me than you coming in for a physical once a year.
Yeah.
And random vitals taken one time.
Yeah.
I'd rather have you.
So we want that data and metrics over the course of time to see how that individual is, really behaving outside of, people get white coat syndrome. They come in and they got elevated blood pressure, and it's here's, start taking medication. Maybe we don't need to do that, right?
100%. But that's the difference. High level care that's evidence based versus
Treating symptoms and
putting someone on medicine when they don't need it.
I love it.
Because you just get to pick what you want.
That's what we do.
But that's how we look at the sleep in terms of the recovery from the nutrition. I honestly recommend it's kind of 2 ways. The very first thing, you can have generalized statements of how much protein to include per gram of body weight. Basically, it's a half a gram to a gram per pound of body weight based on how much you're training. Obviously, if you're like us and we're training 4 or 5 times a week, your protein is much higher than somebody who is sedentary. Right? Because of the physiological demand. But if you want to think about protein in terms of the scientific basis is we should test you. We should actually get your exact calorie need, which we do with our scanner. It's that Syku device that it scans you head to toe, 60 seconds, it'll make a 5 million data point visual view, and it allows me to get your fat mass, your lean mass, all your circumferential measures, and your energy need, and I can adjust it based on your training frequency. So I can go from horseshoes to darts to building you a laser guided attack on your nipples.
That's another. So this is fun stuff, man. Because I don't know if we saw that initially. It's coming over to it. So I felt like touching this stuff. And that's what we're saying. We've been talking about getting a little workout in for some time, right? So we can interlude into the bread and butter of our workout today. And I want, when we're talking, getting some baseline data on how well we're recovered. And again, I go back to more of the central nervous system recovery coming into training and tie that back into poor sleep, right? And, poor nutritional habits. And a lot of days, you walk in on that situation and you're like, I just don't have the goods today. I don't feel good. I'm not rested. So wouldn't it be great if we had like objective metrics to know just how, ill recovered we may be, and going into that workout like, hey, I gotta make adjustments today, and I can't hit those normal percentage, metrics in my lifts, right? So something we use is a counter movement jump. Yeah. So I'd like to demo that for you today. Well, let me pull up I'll make sure it's my profile. I don't want to make it look bad here, Rob. Right? So now this camera, we got a little 3D camera system right up on that rack, so that's going to measure my vertical jump height. So we typically have our athletes do 3 jumps before they get started within their section right after a warm-up, right? So I'll go ahead, jump. So 17.7, it tells me right on the screen. I've been putting some work in. We got Coach Brian's been getting me dialed in. I'm getting some hops now. Let's see how we go. So now, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna beat you. Oh, 19.3. That might have been an anomaly. We'll find out. So let's see what you got.
Am I at the right position?
Yeah, you should be good straight up from that camera. We can. You don't want it? Yeah, from me. You might make it look better, bro. I don't know. I might want your side.
Just go to 90 degree on the knee bend.
Yeah, so when we're doing that counter movement jump, it's down to about, half squat. So you're going down fast, up fast, and you're still focused on a full vertical explosion. Yep.
It's the first time I've ever done this.
That's right. Let's see we're testing. Let's see what you got. Yeah.
18 average or something?
We're at 17.9. 17.9. Yeah, it takes a little bit. So you're 17.6, 17.9. You got to beat what I got? 19.3?
I'm not going to beat you. Let's go down. We better turn this off.
They love higher.
It's because I'm so short.
It's okay. Does that matter? 17.2. All right. Let's move on. Let's get some squats in. Right.
When did you guys first get this velocity-based trainer?
Yeah, so we've Perch system we've used about the past 2 years now, and we've used different velocity-based training products in the past, but we did just with the accuracy that Perch is bringing to the table and the ease of use. A lot of the older models had you had tethered units to the bar, or you had to put like a sensor on the bar. This is like we're untethered. We can go right in front of the camera and efficiently go through athlete to athlete to utilize that system. We actually just worked on now. We pulled in the entire workout, so our athletes can come in and be super efficient and just jump exercise to exercise. And going into how we've been able to create a little safer and efficient training environment, we like to start our athletes on getting an estimated 1 rep max, right? So we know the old school way is more percentage-based training, right? You pull your athletes in, and we gotta grunt it out and do like a max, 1 rep max type of lift, and then go back and get their percentages when we're going through their training season. Obviously some downfalls there, right? Like max efforts, you're gonna lead to poor technique, right? Technique breakdown, you're leaving your athletes potentially susceptible to injury just from baseline testing, which we never want to do. So now with this system, we're able to just do sub-max. You know, we start at a lower load for the athlete and build up to heavier loads, but more towards an 85% rather than an all-out 100% lift. And then with this system, they're able to extrapolate a force velocity curve for each individual athlete so that we know, okay, this is your actual estimated 1 rep max. That's going to pull that into our system each training day. You know, again, going back to the old school model, percentage-based training is like, okay, I'm going to hit 85% of my 1 rep max, 5x5 protocol on a back squat, right? But go back to that athlete we said that didn't sleep well, right? Had probably, you know, a busy practice schedule or competition they just had recently, and you're asking that athlete, you know, when they don't feel right, to go and hit that 85%, it's not going to happen, and they know they don't feel right. That's where injury is going to start happening, right? The load is just too much for that given day, and we need to tailor that to the athlete. That's where velocity-based training comes in. I can, you know, we can still prescribe, hey, we're going to hit 85%, but this system's going to let us know, like, if that weight is too heavy, it's going to flash on screen at us and say, hey, you're cutting that set, we better dial that weight back, get adjusted to what your body's allowing us to do that day, and then we're creating a safer training environment, right? And the flip side, hey, maybe you do have the goods that day, and wow, I'm feeling good. Like, now I can put some more weight on that bar, and I can really get, you know, max efficiency on the workout. So, and definitely, we've got in-season, off-season considerations for more athletic populations. You know, I know a lot of coaches and players are concerned that, hey, I don't know if I should be strength training during the season because it's going to grind me down. Well, we can manipulate the system and say, you know, in season, we're going to focus more on keeping power output, right? So we're going to move, you know, some lighter loads, but we're going to move them quickly, as opposed to focus on pure strength that might grind us down into the season. And then flip side of that, off season, okay, maybe then we'll focus a little more on pure strength output, and we can utilize the system to do that. So,
when did you guys first get this velocity-based trainer?
yeah, so we've, again, a lot more tailored training environment for more of your serious athletes on that level. So let's put it to the test here. We're gonna do, I'll do a back squat with preparation there, right? And we're gonna keep it light. Yeah, today. We don't need to break this, right? Not today. Did you work out already this morning? I did not, just in case we were getting, you know, like getting involved in it today, so to speak, right? So we go back squat. All right, let's see what we got. I might hit 5. There we go.
So if you go above,
Yeah.
if you go above the green, you're moving too quick.
So good question, right? So we actually had it set for 0.65 to 0.75, which is more of a power focus at that speed.
Yeah.
So I was slightly above that range, those first 2 reps.
Yeah.
So I would call that like a good rep. I was actually moving a little too fast.
Yeah.
And then the last 3, I'm kind of falling in line with the ratio I want to see.
Oh,
Right?
Yeah.
So, and again, that's more targeted, like, hey, if we want to work on power development, but we can also get a little more detailed. If I just want a percent drop, typically we would, you know, our athletes in season, a tolerable percentage drop for any given lift would be more towards 10%, right? So then I can set it that way.
So you got a wider.
Yeah, which I'll have you check it out on
Yeah.
that.
You got a wider control limit.
Yeah, so we can, you know, we can funnel it and say, hey, I want to stay in this range because maybe we got competition game coming up, and typically we're going to have more of a power focus on our main lifts there, moving the bar a little faster with a little lighter load, right? Versus versus if my goal is just making sure maybe I don't have a specific targeted, speed and more general fitness. At least it'll tell me though when I fatigue there that I need to cut the set, right? Or if the weight is too heavy for that given day.
It's also a heck of a tool for when you're talking about really dialing in the periodization of an annual plan.
Bingo.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So that's, for
Super cool.
super cool. Super cool. So for like you, myself, I don't have any like major competition goals per se, right? I just want to be healthy, pain-free, and have longevity front and center, so that I have this tool in front of me to make sure I'm training efficiently.
Now, want to give it a whirl?
All right. Started.
Let's see. So this is always just measured concentric. So mine
Coming out of the hole, yeah, you should be in the view right there. So get a few with like some zip on them, just like down. Yeah. And now let's say you're fatiguing out. Now when you struggle when you come out of the bottom.
So go down.
Yeah. You can go down normal tempo and then come up slow. Right? See that drop, right? So that's going to tell us, like, we know in this case for you, the load wasn't heavy, but if the load was too heavy, that's what's going to happen. On screen, we're going to get that red flash, auditory feedback telling you, hey, Rock, too heavy, let's cut that set, let's cut that length, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's so neat. So super intuitive on that front to keep our athletes training safely.
And then is it, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That you can do that. We do
Go have fun.
You have to be here all day. Just tell them I'm moving.
Yeah, we got a grow session in a couple hours, right?
I mean, let's do that. Today's all my meeting days, so it's fine.
Well, it's more weight.
I like biofeedback with the thing.
Yeah, auditory. Yeah, I call that money in the bank every time it, chimes in. Good lift, money in the bank. So you'll see, we're able to do some interesting things too with like unilateral loading, split squats, and progressions where, in those cases we work with our athletes on producing more ground reactive force, right? So if I don't see a good, say with a split squat, I don't see good power output on that side, a common cue for me is drive that lead foot into the ground, and sure enough, you'll see that feedback up. Oh, there goes our speed, right?
Yeah.
So now we can get that biofeedback, like you said, for our athletes right on the spot, and that dialed in and maximize their effort, right? So it works both ways.
What you're saying is you're getting actual training for fitness, you actually should work with a doctor of physical therapy.
It would be a great idea, or Cody Crocker, CSCS, Certified Strength and Conditioning guy. He's working through his master's in sports performance, and I would say it's helpful to have a knowledgeable coach and work it out in a facility that has that mindset of like preventative, right? And training safely and efficiently would be wise to not be pushing too hard, because we know a lot of options out there right now in the fitness community are like how hard can I grind it out, right? If I'm not sore the next day, if I don't sweat my butt off through that workout and go to the breakaway station, I achieve nothing, right? And we know that's the worst for the overuse injuries, right?
Because I see it all the time where everybody's doing this high intensity stuff every single day, and they're like, why does my calf hurt? Why do I have Achilles tendonitis? Why do I have a shoulder problem? And it's you're overtraining.
Yeah.
And they're not, because they don't have a set program. And I just really, it's kudos to you guys if like using science to protect people so they can progress continuously instead of just overloading them and killing them because they're just pushing them way too hard.
Yeah.
That's why they hurt.
Good, bingo. So that's what we see people coming into my office, like you said, they were just doing too much too soon for what their body can handle, right? So again, very, very important, I feel like, to train in an environment that's going to we keep metrics, and it's all inclusive, right? Like I believe in the wearables, right, to make sure that we're getting things like sleep quality and feedback on our nutrition, right? Making sure we're training effectively before we're looking into other medical care, such as I got to take pain pills or go get the injection. Yeah, exactly, right? And that's kind of interluding into, because I'm really curious about it. I'm about to be 40 here myself, right? So most of my friends are on more hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
And I've just got questions on it myself, you know. I'm certainly, I think by the time I was 32, started feeling kind of that initial decline, you know, not the same get up and go, even when I got good restful sleep. And certainly I've had inflection points now where I'm like, I feel drained. Now, recently I've emphasized, hey, let's get the diet back in check, make sure I'm getting plenty of quality rest, and we've been hitting the strength and conditioning, and I certainly feel a lot better. So my curiosity is like, at what point might we be talking, you know, hormone replacement?
I think it's a great question because every, you know, guys and girls will both go through changes hormonally every decade of life.
Yeah.
As we progress, you know, from our 20s to our 30s, then we move towards our 40s and our 50s, there gets a gradual decline. That's true for everybody. I think when you're saying for checking, I think obviously checking it should be part of your physical every year. Because your doctor should screen you, because if you're going to have lows, we need to know the lows are coming, but we also need to know what your good level is for you, where you feel the best.
Sure.
Like, hey, I feel like my best self now.
Yeah.
Right? But then in 3 years, all these problems show up, and then your testosterone could be super low. We don't know where we actually need to bring it back to.
Sure.
We're tailoring and personalizing that treatment so it's precision.
So baseline screening is important. Yearly check-ins are important to make sure your levels
Just to see where you're at.
or where you're at. And I mean, where do you start? You know, say I come in and I do have low levels. You know, what things are you talking to the patient about initially? Is it?
I think the first thing, it's a great question because it's multifaceted, and you hit on some of the points. The very first thing is we check that number, and then you recheck. So you should have 2, you know, laboratory assessments before you're just getting started with something. You need to know what's going on. The other thing is we need to look at the overall stress level in your life. Because if you're super stressed, where you're overworking, undersleeping, your cortisol's through the roof, and you're eating like crap. Those are all factors that we need to address first, to make the picture clear of what we actually need to achieve with hormone therapy. You don't just put someone on testosterone and put them on testosterone, because there's places that'll say, oh, we're going to double your testosterone and bring you up to 1,500. Well, I hate to break it to you, that's actually dangerous to do for the general population. There's no reason for you to go to 1,500, or 1,600 or higher, but they're just doing it to advertise it. We need to know what's going on from a source standpoint and clean up the source from the sleep, nutrition, stress level first. Once we move that halfway and clean it up, you can't forget the lifestyle, even if you're going to take hormones.
Right.
The lifestyle matters. The hormone support is really what type of hormone you want to use, and then also how we're using it throughout the course of the week and the month. Typically for guys, testosterone, Cypionate is like the most common form of testosterone you take. That's an injectable. There's oral forms of testosterone that are not very well absorbed. And there's clomiphene that help raise FSH and LH, which are different signaling molecules to make your body make testosterone. Typically when we do it, we have to dose titrate it to the appropriate level for you to bring the levels up and then get them level. And then the other thing with hormone therapy that is really important to do based on the metabolism of testosterone is breaking the dose up. A lot of people who don't have much experience do it once a week. The reality is when you're doing testosterone, we want a level amount in your body throughout the entire week because of how rapidly it'll be metabolized and broken down. So usually like a twice a week regimen, from what I've seen with our patients, keeps testosterone levels stable and not going dangerously high and not troughing out too low as the week changes. But that's really when you're getting into the weeds of detailing.
Which is, it's all interesting. It's a good conversation for me because, again, I think you bringing up those points of there's places you go, and I know I'm talking with friends of like, yeah, I just ramp couch so I can run through brick walls. And it's like,
That's different than treating, that's actually taking steroids.
So, that's the same thing.
But that's why we're having this discussion. I think it's important, you know, because there's a lot of unknowns around, you know, what's the appropriate way to go about it. And it's not my mindset of like the holistic approach first, you know, up until, you know, past couple months, I, you know, stressed like we're talking about, and, you know, not eating well, it's the holidays, right? We talked about that aspect of it, and I wasn't working out consistently, so my mindset was like, well, let me get those things dialed in, to make sure that, you know, that might be a holistic approach to getting energy levels up and strength levels up. And I mean, going into that, the benefits of strength training, right, to build testosterone. So focusing on those things within your lifestyle, right? I mean, tell us more. Obviously, strength training has a benefit, right? And we're not talking more so than cardio or maybe some of the HIIT training.
I think there's a couple ways to think about this. Like if you know, if you want to live well, you need to lift weights. If you want to live long, you need to do cardio. And
There you go.
obviously, if you want to have the best, highest quality of life you possibly can, do both as appropriately dosed. It's not that hard.
Let's break it up. But I totally agree. Yeah, you know, that's our concept with a lot of our patients and athletes that we talk about, like being well rounded. So I enjoy lifting weights now and distance running, and we're talking about getting out and doing sprint work and things like be multifaceted. Don't just, that's where we get those repetitive use injuries, right? We're trying to just strength train constantly, taking on too much, or just going out and run, and not and abandoning strength training. We need to be well rounded to have longevity, right, on all those aspects. So I think that's awesome. Well, let's we like to finish up with some rapid fire Q&A questions. Tell, you know, in the gym, what do you like? What's like your favorite movement, or maybe your favorite mode of fitness? I know you're a weightlifter.
I like to lift weights. If you're saying my favorite movement,
Bicep. That's a close second.
it's a close second.
Yeah.
But honestly, I really like. Don't judge me.
I love training legs.
Because it's hard, and it's hard. I
Yes.
just love it. I would say back squat or hack squat for legs are probably my favorite.
Interesting.
And for upper body, I absolutely love Arnold press.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorites.
I used to do those back in the day.
Oh my god, those are, if you're saying my motions, like those.
You get those big shoulders.
Yeah.
And the hack squat's an interesting one. When Coach Brian was programming that this past weekend, it's kind of an awkward movement for me right now, and I'm getting used to it. But you know, definitely helpful for lower body development. But
100%.
don't skip leg day.
I absolutely need to do leg day.
I did so in my high school days. It used to be, this is like late '90s, right? Early 2000s. It was like, how much do you bench, right? And let's hit some creature curls.
Yep.
I don't know that I really squatted or deadlifted, and now I enjoy leg day and staying well rounded on that front. So I agree with you.
I love it.
Tell us what, man, you have just such a versatile role, because and I don't know how unique it is having the medical side with PT integrated, but I love that. So, I mean, talk more about that. Like, what's your favorite part of what you do?
Oh man, okay, so if you're saying the integration with like PT being in a primary care clinic, it's like less than 1/100%.
Okay, so that makes sense, because until we had met, I was
I've familiar. Out of all the doctors I've ever met, I've only met one other doctor with the same education profile as me, but she was 15 years older than me.
okay.
So
It's not common.
no, it's extremely. I haven't met anybody in my age cohort. I'm only 34 years old, so who did a doctorate before medical school, and then went to medical school with a doctoral degree to get a medical degree to come out that young with two. I haven't met anybody, and that's like including AEM, SSM, ACSM, and the AMA and the AFP. So that's like all of the doctors. I haven't met anybody.
That's why. So I mean, like, that's playing such a kind of versatile, having a versatile makeup like that. What's your favorite aspect? Does it shade more towards like the rehab side of things, or more towards the like holistic medical aspect of it?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing that I've seen is the interplay of the like biopsychosocial model pairing up well with comprehensive health, like the psychological approach to how you view the patient condition, of like all the factors that affect that person, and putting that piece together with all of the tools in one spot. Because like for our appointments, like I'll go from, I had a guy come in today, right? And he came in for an acute combat injury, right? I've never met the guy before, so we fixed the injury, just needed something drained, taken care of from an orthopedic standpoint, no big deal. Knocked it down, the ultrasound, whatever. And then we went from that and we moved into orthopedic problem to talking about his nutrition, going through his nutrition, getting all his preventative screening items done together, and that tying it together for him as a person.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of my job because I have the time and the resources to do it.
Yeah.
My clinic has everything.
I think that's a good way to put it too, like traditional, right? Like you're in for what? You wait an hour, 15 minutes. So I love it, man, and I think that's why we have such a good collaborative connection, because it's in continuity with the people that we're able to serve, and I think that's where it should head, really, in our medical model, I feel like. So, and I think we already pre-framed at the front of this discussion. We wanted to ask you who you got in March Madness.
100%.
It's
still here.
We say that every year. They have a tough time getting past the first round, it seems. Now, I can't talk because I'm a Syracuse guy, which I'm kind of sad to hear that you're not a Syracuse guy. But we're not in the tournament. That's fair. I didn't tap. You're a defector. That's okay. That's right.
I always come back and ask my uncles, they make me want to talk to me. It's basketball, whatever.
But I hope for your sake, I'm rooting for you. We'll go do it. But it's been awesome hanging out today. Hanging out. And tell us, just wrapping things up today. Tell people how can they learn more about Avance and where can they find you? I know you guys are on social media. Tell folks where they can get more.
A couple ways. The clinic address is 3904 Only in the Draft. It's literally right next to the Whole Foods by the mall.
Very convenient.
Our website is avancecare.com/Wilmington, so we'll come right up for you. That's where all of our main website is for scheduling and all of our resources for our patients. And then our social media, they keep bringing that up. We created Thrive Health University. Basically, it's an online platform for educating patients on exactly what we're talking about today. Just like the general tips and tricks that you actually need to know to apply in your life to be healthy. And your doctor should talk to you about these things because it's pretty stereotypical stuff of like exercise, eat right, sleep right, and here's how you do it on a systematic way so you can apply it for everybody. So those are ways people can find it.
Awesome, love it. And I need to come in for a visit once and for all myself.
That's cool.
Everything we talked. I got a call.
You got the number, you know the guy.
I'm just gonna text you and I'm gonna go up.
Oh, great.
James. And yeah, that's awesome. And I love that we got to get you into CTG Strong. You are a busy guy because you're on you got your radio spot. Tell people you got the radio spot, man.
With our friends over at 107.5, I'm on every Monday morning.
Yeah.
With Holly and Foz and Michaela. We do our medical Mondays. So it's a live radio show where people can call in and ask questions in real time and have an answer on the air so everybody can learn. Also, we always have topics to talk about. I love that. If anybody ever wants to have a little bit of fun in the morning, that's always good.
Can I check on replay too?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Usually, they'll put it there, but sometimes if you call in the morning on your commute, they're always doing giveaways. And so you might get free things.
Well, I like cars from skateboarding, so I can. And yes, for CTG Strong, we have that overview today. That's something we've just started to build up here at Change the Game. And again, I'd love to have you come in and join and put it to the test.
Yes, I will choose website. We should. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Love it.
Right on. Cool.
Thanks for joining us today.
This is awesome. Anytime.